Trends always come and go in horror cinema. Right now we're seeing a revival of the satanic panic of the 70s, with franchises based around demonic hauntings like The Conjuring, Ouija, Sinister, Insidious. The list goes on. But until recently, it felt like all Hollywood was ever going to give us were found footage movies. On the one hand, it's easy to see why. They're very cheap to make. The first Paranormal Activity movie only cost $15,000 to make. Compare that to 28 Weeks Later, released the same year, which had a budget of $15 million. And guess what? Paranormal Activity made 3 times as much at the box office. Over the last few years, though, Hollywood seems to have lost its interest in found footage. And it makes sense to conclude that that's because audiences have had their fill, and they're getting tired of the genre. But I don't think that's the whole truth. Before we get into the present and future of found footage, I thought it would be interesting to take a look back at its history, how it's changed over the years, what it says about us as filmmakers and moviegoers, and ultimately ask where the whole thing got started. I also wanted an excuse to talk about some of the found footage movies that I particularly enjoy, and hopefully to bring some interesting new viewing to your attention. The first instinct when talking about found footage is to leap straight to the big one, the Blair Witch Project, especially since the latest found footage release is its sequel, Blair Witch. Even when I first saw the Blair Witch Project, I couldn't take the name seriously. Blair sounds like the noise a really bored ghost would make when it jumps out at you. Blair! You might as well call your movie The Boogeyman. I remember very clearly watching the Blair Witch Project for the first time. It was before I'd gotten into the horror genre, around the time I first got serious about pursuing filmmaking, and I was trying to watch as many iconic and important movies from as many different genres as I could. I have such a clear memory of sitting on my couch, wrapping myself in a blanket, and sitting there, all tucked up in a tight little ball of nerves, VCR remote control in hand, ready to pause just in case. The TV volume cranked way down to the edge of hearing, in case something loud jumped out at the camera. Of course, that meant that I had to strain my ears to hear any of the dialogue, so I ended up on the edge of my seat, jumping at tiny house noises, scaring myself worse than ever. Now, you've got to remember, this was before Wikipedia or IMDb or anything like that. I rented it on a VHS tape, so I only had word of mouth to let me know what I was in for. And jeez did people talk this movie up. My dad told me it was the most terrifying thing he'd ever seen, and the few other people who I knew who'd seen it had all told me about how they hadn't been able to sleep or walk outside alone for ages after watching it. Did it live up to those expectations? Well, I actually rewound the tape and watched it a second time as soon as I'd finished it, because I'd been so concerned with pausing it to break the tension that I hadn't even been paying attention to what I was watching. The second time, I was surprised at how intriguing it was. It felt more like a real-life mystery that you wanted to get to the bottom of than it did a scary movie. Stepping back from my own experience of the film, that was where the Blair Witch Project's real genius lay. In its viral internet marketing campaign, possibly the first one in history. There was a blog set up that was supposedly run by the film's main character, Heather, detailing her eponymous project and its development, as well as showing scanned-in pages of her diary during the actual events, not only giving us an extra insight into her character, but helping to perpetuate the idea that the film was genuinely found footage. The filmmakers even made a documentary about the Blair Witch legend that aired on the History Channel a month before the film's released. That meant that a lot of people went into the movie saying, "Oh, hey, yeah, the Blair Witch. I think I heard about those events on TV a while back." They actually did such a good job of convincing people that the families of the actors, who lent their real names to the characters that they portrayed, started receiving letters of condolence for their loss from total strangers and even from family friends. You've got to remember, like I said, this was the very early days of the internet. Web publishing was confusing and expensive, so we used to assume that anybody who put things online was legit, like getting a book from the library. The actors ended up having to do public appearances to show that they were still alive, and even that didn't persuade a lot of people who'd been taken in by the marketing. They either didn't see those appearances on TV or thought that they were some kind of elaborate hoax. So with all this, it's easy to see why the general public credits the Blair Witch Project with inventing the entire genre. But as many horror fans will tell you, they missed the boat by 1 year, because in 1998, a movie came out depicting a small group of film students heading into the American woods to hunt for a supernatural being who were never seen again. The last broadcast was set in New Jersey and told the story of a documentary crew searching the Pine Barrens for the Jersey Devil, where they run afoul of a serial killer who picks them off one by one. Now, the movie doesn't quite commit to its found footage premise, with the final scene switching to a traditional filming style to reveal the twist, but overall, it was very similar to the Blair Witch Project in many ways. What the last broadcast lacked that the Blair Witch Project innovated was the marketing campaign, and as such, the last broadcast failed to make much of an impact and is generally forgotten by today. So, is that where found footage all started? Nope. It goes way back further than that. Join me next time, where we'll start off with one of the most infamous hours of British television ever broadcast, and its equally terrifying fallout.